The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
What time is it?
I knew you'd come.
Delete! 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 Delete!
Bring Freddy Krueger's world, Elm Street. We want to see Bray Wyatt's version of the Boiler Room.
My name is Dario Cueto. My relationship with the wrestlers is very special.
And he's hanging out with Masquerita Sagrada in what looks like his basement. And then his mom shows up with bagel bites. It's glorious.
Oh, that's awesome.
We are scientifically proven to be the best tag team, and not just in NXT, not just in the WWE, but in the entire universe.
Well, you know, it's going to be different because I think me and Sheamus, we kind of grew together. I mean, I don't get it.
Did you see that? Did you? Did you see that? Huh? You line him up and I knock him down. Bro kick all over the place. We're going to become tag champs, fella. I can see it. I can smell it. It's different than the last time. You know what I'm saying? Your baldy head abuse. Come on, let's go.
Well, I guess we're way more enthusiastic. So, yeah, Sunday, new tag champs right here. Yeah, I need to get my neck adjusted.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the max.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Vieser.
Welcome, everybody, to Wrestling to the Max, episode 225, part 2. And here we are, guys, ready to talk Roadblock, end of the line. That's right, we're going to preview it for you today. Plus, we're also going to jump into Total Nonstop Deletion. I know, wow, more stuff that's kind of interesting for you guys. Plus, don't forget, we also have Lucha Underground, NXT, and, of course, some great news topics that have been a big hit when it comes to the world of wrestling, like a UK title for the WWE. A lot of stuff to talk about with that, plus some other great New Japan news that you're not going to want to miss. I'm your host, Gary Vaughn, and of course with me, Mr. Sean Garmer.
What's up, people?
And Mr. Paul Easer.
Heyo.
And we are here a little late. We are actually coming to you on a Saturday morning, and it is all my fault, and it is really honestly the truth. I was very tired. Allergies were killing me. Friday morning, it was awful, and I would have been the most terrible host. I would have been sleepwalking through the entire podcast. So my gracious co-host here, I mean, these two guys are really awesome. They actually said, you know what, take the day, let's get healthy and let's get back. And I'm getting there. I'm not completely there, but I'm a lot more energetic today. And I feel great, and hopefully I can be an asset to this podcast instead of the guy that goes, okay, let's talk NXT. So, anyway, I'm excited about it. But, of course, how are things going with you guys? Sean, I mean, anything going good at work or anything going good? I know you're doing a lot of video game stuff lately.
Yeah, finally beat Final Fantasy 15. I was at the second to last boss. Randy and I did the football podcast, and then I just was like, whatever, I'll just stay up and beat the game. And so at 6 a.m. I beat it. Now I have to go actually write the review, which is the actual harder part. But after spending 80 hours or so with the game, so it's really a great game. So I think if you're a Final Fantasy fan, definitely should check it out. We're having the site now is so much more stuff we have going on. So we're trying to get the end of the year stuff going with both wrestling and video games right now, and it's a lot to deal with. I think the games one is finally starting to get somewhere. It's hard when you've got literally just 3 people that can give you an idea of how to do a top 25 games of the year, but at least it's more than just one. Aside from that, yeah, just work and other things. Anaya's getting better from her burn. She's moving around a little bit more normal, but she still can't do all the things she likes to do with her leg messed up like it is.
Yeah, it'll come with time for sure, and I'm glad she's definitely feeling better.
She had to miss the whole week of school this week.
That's a pain, especially like all the catch-up stuff.
God, all the homework. I'm sitting there like, okay, I've got about 4 packets of things here that we have to do, and have fun with this.
That's going to be a headache, I know for sure. Yeah. Paul, what's going on in your world, man? Anything cool going on?
No, life's been pretty dull since Disney World, but I maintain the show would have been just as fun with a drugged-out, tired Gary.
You just wanted it because I may accidentally say something that's really inappropriate.
Yeah.
And then,
we would have really had Gary After Dark at that point.
It would have been so great.
Yeah.
Oh, man, yeah, we'd probably have to delete that
Gary
podcast.
Would have been like, Matt Hardy.
Yeah, you would have Broken Gary. Imagine that.
Broken Gary.
Yes.
Gary would have been talking 20 minutes about itchweed,
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, God, I don't want to talk. Well, we're going to get to that later, Sean. I can't get off this weed right now. Trust me. Let's save that till later.
Man, I wanted to throw something at my TV when you came out.
Trust me. I think all of us are going to have plenty to say about Total Non-Stop Deletion because it was different, but it was good if you liked it. Okay, so I don't want to get into that. Well, I do want to get into, before we get this thing off and going, I do want to mention to everybody, if you're listening to us and you know about us, you've either heard from us, maybe through W2Mnet.com. If you didn't, go check out that website. Once again, I'm going to mention it really quickly again, W2Mnet.com. That's right. That's the website that you go to go not only find this podcast, but go all, around and find all the great reviews when it comes to the world of wrestling and, of course, video games. And we also have some cool stuff for football as well. So go check out that website. And you may have also heard us, maybe on the W2M network. And if you haven't, that's the place you go subscribe to get what you're hearing now and a lot more content that we do. We, of course, do part 1 and part 2 of this show every week. We also get into a Raw review, a SmackDown Live review, and a 205 Live review. Plus, what we're going to add to the docket after this week, we're still going to do the show like usual. After this week, we are going to start doing NXT on its own. It's going to have its own show, guys, which is going to be cool. We're going to allow it to have its own little spot on the network, on, of course, W2Mnet.com. That way, you guys, if you just only have 20 minutes of lunch, there you go. You get a chance to hear the review right then. You're not having to say fast forward, rewind to get to that part. You're going to have it right in front of you. And then, of course, we'll do our show like normal. But we'll just take that out and give it its own love. So there you go. So we have just a wide array of stuff for you guys, and we hope that we're giving you all the content that you want. And if you maybe don't have some content you do want, let us know. Hit us up, okay? So just go check us out. Plus, there is a Facebook Wrestling to the Max group. Just type in Wrestling to the Max. You'll see that group. Go ahead and add yourself to that. That'll give you not only a voice, but it'll also give you some great news because people post on there all the time. So, all right, guys. Well, after all the plugging is over, I think it's time for us to jump into this big pay-per-view coming this Sunday, and we are going to give some predictions and kind of give you some ideas on what we think is going to happen this week. And that pay-per-view is Roadblock, End of the Line, which I don't know why you have to have that end part, but anyway.
Because
they like
there's 2 roadblocks this year.
Couldn't you just call it Roadblock 2016, 2017, 2018? What?
Because there's 2 roadblocks in 2016.
I would have preferred Roadblock 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Hey, I'm sold on that.
They could have just said, Roadblock 2. Roman Reigns, championship.
What was the other one? Well, yeah, championship night. Good God, don't say that. What was the other one? What was that, in March?
It was in February, right? It was
February.
The last one before WrestleMania.
The one they tagged on to let Triple H defend the belt against Dean.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I've already forgotten all that, and I think for good reason.
That was actually a good match. They had the
show wasn't bad either.
I just don't remember it. I mean, it must not have had a very strong reaction from me because I just do not remember.
It was like that throwaway thing you do right before WrestleMania, like March 18th, I think it was.
That's probably why. I was getting ready to go to WrestleMania. I think I could, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. We were all getting ready for that show, and just.
God, that was this year, wasn't it? Wow.
Yeah, I know.
I know, right?
Oof. Time flies.
It just doesn't seem like it's been that long.
It doesn't. Now, all right, well, let's go ahead and jump into this thing. Let's go ahead and start off by talking Big Cass facing off against Rusev.
Oh, wait, I'm not going to play this theme for...
Oh, you have the theme? Well, play it. I didn't know you had it. Play it.
Okay. Let's do this.
A different kind of dynamite. A different kind of dynamite.
All right. Had some, pleasure to some people's ears, and maybe not to others.
A different kind of something.
Yeah. Well, it's just up to people if they like it. It's okay. But what may not be okay, or okay to some, Rusev facing off against Big Cass. And, of course, this is a match that's really predicated around this whole thing of Enzo Amore and Rusev battling over Lana, and really for good cause. I don't know what side you lie on. I kind of felt like Enzo was kind of the bad guy, hitting on some married guy's wife. But anyway, we are here now with Kaz trying to be the big guy and take down Rusev. How do you feel? Do you think that this is going to be a little bit of revenge for Big Cass here?
I certainly think so. I don't know how much further this is going to go. I don't know how much gas is really left in the tank to really keep this burning longer than what's going on. So I say Cass gets the win here.
Yeah, they've had Rusev beat on Enzo. I don't think Rusev is going to be able to do that with Cass. We know that Vince really likes Cass. They're going to put him in a position to make him look strong. Cass wins here.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely understand where you guys are coming from, and I think I'm going to follow suit here. I think Big Cass does win, and if he doesn't, I don't think it would be a problem for me. I think I'm okay with it, but I get you where you're coming from with Vince and the whole thought process of Big Cass is going to be probably eventually a main star in this company if it goes Vince's way. We don't know if that's going to happen or when it will, but I could see where they really like this guy. So, sure, we'll give him the victory here. But at the end of the day, it's still about Rusev and Enzo. I think that you're really not blowing off too much by having Kaz win, So, it still will stay. Let's talk about the Tag Team Championship belts, though. Now, we just had the New Day become the longest reigning tag team in WWE history. But will they remain champions following Roadblock when they face Cesaro and Sheamus?
Man. Obviously, they have the record now, and they've had all the big defenses, and they've literally probably beaten everybody 2 or 3 times over on Raw by now. They have to lose sometime. And honestly, these two guys have been doing great. I love Cesaro and Sheamus. I mean, why not do it here? Why not let them win the belts?
Yeah, I think you've kept Cesaro and Sheamus together this long. You're acknowledging that you want this to work. The only way this continues to work is that they have to win the titles at some point. You already had New Day break the record. Whatever they do after this doesn't really matter at this point. People aren't going to remember that they had, at least the casual fans that you want watching your product are not going to be remembering whether they had a 486-day reign or they had a 525-day reign or whatever. Okay, all they're going to remember is that New Day held the tag titles for a long time. They broke that demolition record, and that's it. Cesaro and Sheamus should win, and there you go. You start something new with them.
Do you think there's any chance? And this is the way I kind of look at this, because Roadblock is, okay, sure, it's a pay-per-view in the eyes of everyone, and it is. But on the other hand, I almost see the tag titles being lost at a bigger event like Royal Rumble. But on the other hand, what you guys are saying about Cesaro and Sheamus is very true. You can't let this keep lingering with these guys keep losing, because they should hate each other if they keep losing. And now they just finally got to the groove where they kind of like each other. So I think I'm going to have to agree with you guys. But then again, I have this little inkling somehow, some way this is going to get screwy. We're going to see the New Day become really heelish here and find a way to get disqualified. So you know what? Heck, I mean, does that count? Can I just say a disqualification? I see this burning a little hotter than it is right now. Is that fair?
I don't see why not. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I don't see why not.
I'm going disqualification. I think we wait and save this for a bigger show. So I don't know. I hope I am not going a little too far there. I
They
just kind
don't
of
care about what shows do what.
You're probably right. You're probably right, but I just don't
Sasha
think
keeps winning the title back on Raw. I mean, come on.
I know. I'm just going to stick with this. I don't know, man. I don't think right away they're going to throw it off New Day. I think they're going to give it a bigger show. Let's talk Sami Zayn versus Braun Strowman. And we kind of already talked about this in part one quite a bit. And I think we actually talked more about it on the actual Raw review itself. And that's the fact that we all kind of feel like Braun Strowman is on a path of destruction. Have you changed your mind at all, though? Do you think there's any chance that Sami Zayn wins here?
I mean, I don't really think he should. The way they've been building Braun and the way they've sort of gotten behind him at this point, it seems like all arrows are pointing towards him winning something.
Here's the thing. You don't have to... This is about surviving. This is like getting to the end of that... you're playing Street Fighter, and you're waiting for the 99 seconds to go down. This is all Sami Zayn's doing. He doesn't have to pin Braun Strowman. So, yes, Sami Zayn has to survive in order for this feud to mean anything. If Braun Strowman pins him, then the feud's over because he's not getting another match with Braun Strowman.
I mean, it is only a 10-minute time limit match, so it easily could go to a draw that way.
Yeah.
I like the idea of the draw. I just don't see them letting Braun Strowman get beat. Not right now. I just don't see it.
Oh, no, definitely you don't have him win the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the draw is more likely than anything, and that's what I'll go with, because I think both kind of lose something here if they were to lose. Sami Zayn, what's the whole point of him arguing to have this match if he just goes out and dies and loses it,
Right.
So, I don't know. It's an interesting match, though. I'll say this. It's a lot better after Monday.
This should be a fun match. They're going to have a good match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Well, let's talk about another interesting match that could be really fun. We actually have a big triple threat coming with Rich Swann, the champion of the Cruiserweights, facing off against TJ Perkins and Brian Kendrick. And who's going to walk away with that Cruiserweight championship?
I think Rich Swann retains. I don't see a lot going the other way for Kendrick or TJP to win it back, especially for TJP when he's still on the verge of that heel turn.
Paul said everything there. I think you just had Rich Swann win the belts. You don't need Kendrick to have the belt again. And you definitely don't need TJP having the belt again. I think he needs to establish that heel turn without having the belt. I think let him figure out who he is and define his character and whatever. It's going to be interesting if he drops the video game stuff with the heel turn, or if he just starts talking about evil characters in video games or something. But we'll have to see how they deal with that. But yeah, I mean, because I can't imagine he can have that Mega Man music and be a heel. But That's just
Yeah. No, I agree. That would almost be a little ridiculous because you can't have something so poppy, so fun with a guy that's supposed to be a heel. It just doesn't work. So I'm kind of curious how that's going to work out too. I think this is going to be fun, doing the X Division rules type thing, triple threat for the title.
Oh God. Stop.
Let's not inflict that bad booking on these guys. They already have a hard enough time.
Yeah. They have a hard enough time getting over as it is. Please don't torture them.
Sorry. Yeah, and I won't torture anyone else. I agree with you guys. Rich Swann, for me. I mean, as much as I like Kendrick and what he's done, there's no need for him to hold the title again right now. And let's be honest, Perkins is in this period of transition, and he has to be because, really, he's kind of fallen off the map with people, I think. I don't think anybody really cares about him, and I think he's got to rebuild that. So it's definitely going to be Rich Swann. Let's move on, though. Let's talk about a match that I think all of us are going to be quite interested in. And that's the 30-minute Iron Man match with Sasha Banks facing off against Charlotte. And, of course, Sasha Banks has just acquired that championship belt finally again. And now we are in a situation where is this going to flip-flop again? Is this women's title going to change hands right after we just saw it change hands?
Go ahead, John.
You know what? I think it is. I think, me personally, I know that they've been sort of building this thing between Sasha and Bayley a little bit. I think we're going to do this until we get to WrestleMania and we have another triple threat. I don't know that they're going to want to... It's possible that they siphon Sasha off to somebody else, but I think definitely Charlotte keeps her pay-per-view streak alive, because if you're going to have Charlotte lose this pay-per-view streak, you'd imagine you have her lose it at a bigger pay-per-view. This is where the bigger pay-per-view thing comes into play. Have her lose it at Royal Rumble, or have her lose it at WrestleMania, and have that big moment for Bayley. And I think, look, Sasha and Bayley they have a great dynamic with each other. They work. If you want to turn Sasha, you could, but I don't think it works as well with Sasha being the other face, being her bud, or whatever. I think it works so much better when Sasha's just a pure heel and you get Bayley to work off of being the pure baby face. So this is why I think if you're going to do that, you have Charlotte against Bayley, because you can immediately hate Charlotte. You can revive that little bit of a feud that they had before that they just killed for no reason. And, so I think Charlotte keeps her pay-per-view streak alive, and your next challenger is Bayley that they'll figure out something to do with at some point.
I have little doubt that Bayley is the next title challenger in all this, but I think you have Sasha retain here. I see absolutely zero reason to move the belt back to Sasha or to Charlotte. And even if it's not Bayley up again next and you have those two break off and feud away from the championship, I think you have Nia more than ready and you have a fresh matchup there at least. So it can get you some leeway time into building Bayley up for WrestleMania, and then you can have her and Sasha, and you can still throw Charlotte in later if you want. It's not like anybody's going to say no.
Yeah, I mean, I wish I had something to really be the contrarian here. The one thing that I have hanging with me is the fact that Sasha just got this title. And yes, it's been done before, flip-flopping the title pretty quickly, but I don't see how it helps either of these ladies by switching the title this quickly. And not only that, you want a little bit more, to it. And I don't know that this is going to be that time. It'll probably be a really great match. It'll probably be hopefully one of the best matches of the night. But at the end of the day, I see Sasha Banks still the champion, and this causing Charlotte lots of angst, lots of problems, and her chasing the title again is not such a bad thing. I think it's totally fine. And I think, honestly, if you ask me, I think Charlotte would do a better job chasing the title right now than Sasha. I just think it works a lot better, especially with her mic skills. I think it's a good deal. So, Well, let's move on, though, and let's talk Chris Jericho facing off against Seth Rollins. And this doesn't have any stipulations. This is just a regular stipulation, or singles match. And if there's any stipulation to it, maybe who deserves to be on the list could be one of those stipulations. But at the end of the day, how do you feel about this? Who's going to go over here?
Man, I go back and forth on this because I really think Chris Jericho should be the next man up for the Universal title. They would be doing Kevin Owens and Jericho such a disservice if they don't try to pursue everything they've been building towards there. And in that fashion, I think Chris Jericho should get the win here. But on the other end there, Seth Rollins, I don't think's won a match on pay-per-view this year. Or at least since he's come back from the injury. And, they want to keep him in that top picture. They want to keep him around the main event scene, and a win here would certainly help him at least keep him somewhat there. But I think you go. I'm gonna go Jericho.
Yeah, you still haven't had a Kevin Owens Jericho feud, sort of for the title yet. You'd think it'd be building to this here. This is what we're trying to build to. What they've been doing with Owens and Reigns is kind of cloudy in that. But I think you're right here. I think you already had Rollins beat Jericho before on Raw, right? So I think you have Jericho get it back, whether it's by some kind of cheating or whatever it is. Jericho wins here. And that kind of sets that stage to finally have it, whether it just, maybe they just do it on a Raw with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. But at least you did it once.
Yeah, the way I look at this is, sure, Seth Rollins hasn't won a match on pay-per-view, but I think right now the direction they want him to go is more and more up that ladder, and he's already up there pretty high. But I don't know Chris Jericho winning is going to really be a great thing for Seth Rollins. I don't know. I just see Seth Rollins being the guy walking out of here with the win. It's just, it could go either way. I don't see it any other way, though, personally. But the match that's going to really matter at the end of the day, and it will probably affect what that match is actually going to happen and what the results are, will probably affect this match later down the line, and that is the WWE Universal title match. And Kevin Owens is the current champion, and he'll be facing off against Roman Reigns, the United States champion. And this is going to be one that, I think a lot of people feel maybe like Kevin Owens could still win, but there's that big fear, if you're not a Roman Reigns fan, that Roman Reigns' music has been played a lot at the end of Raw. It's going to be played at the end of Roadblock, Into the Line. And I'm not sold right now that that's going to take place. Maybe I'm just sitting on Roman Reigns. I think Kevin Owens finds a way to win. It'll be cheating. It'll be some nefarious ways for him to win from my perspective. But I really feel like Kevin Owens will walk away with his Universal Championship. Sean, do you agree or disagree?
I think you can make a case either way. You could have Roman win to set up the rematch at Royal Rumble, and then you take care of Kevin Owens and you usher him out of the picture. You could have Kevin Owens win here, and then you have the title match Jericho. Kevin Owens retains there, and they find a way to get Roman back in the picture again, and then Roman beats him and wins at the Rumble in the bigger spot as well in the Alamo Dome to win it in such a big stage, to see if the crowd makes any difference there, but don't know. It doesn't really matter at this point whether he wins at the Rumble or at Roadblock, because he's won another big spot and it hasn't mattered for him either. But if I had to take a guess, I'm going to say that he retains here, just because I do think they want to do Jericho Owens. You can't do... I don't think it means hardly as much at all if you don't have the title involved. And in order for you to do that, you need Kevin Owens to retain here.
I have Kevin Owens retaining here too, mostly because of the same argument I have for Jericho winning. You got to have those two pay off that feud. I think you do it at the Rumble. You do whatever else you want with Reigns. I mean, for God's, he has a title on his own already. Let him work with that. But they can't help
defend
themselves.
that for God's sakes.
Yeah, exactly. But they can't help themselves. He's going to end up back in that picture at some point. I'm still holding out hope that Finn can somehow make it back for Mania, and you have that big match between him and Kevin Owens, because I think that'd be great. And you already have a story lined up there about the injury and everything. So, but I don't know exactly where you go long term. I do know short term. I think Kevin Owens is your better option, and he's worked too damn hard this year for you to just throw him to the side for Reigns.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This guy's done a lot, and it just seems like to me, it's not that it would hurt him, of course, losing this match, but I think that it would do him a lot of justice to prove to people, even like I said, even if it is nefarious ways, for him to win this match against Roman Reigns, and at least for a little longer, hold that title. I think it'll be something that I think will matter at the end of the day, especially with these next feuds coming up. So. But that is Roadblock, end of the line. And that is our predictions. And we will see if they will all come true Sunday night. And, of course, we usually always have a recap show. I can't promise who's all going to be on there because that usually changes every week that we actually do one of those. But we are going to try to have a show out for you guys Monday morning. So when you're drive to work, you can listen to us talk all about it. Or whatever you're doing Monday. Maybe go sit down and just listen to it for lunch, whatever. We are definitely going to be jumping into everything when it comes to Roadblock into the line and giving you our ideas and everything before you do watch that Monday Night Raw. But we are moving on from that, and we are going to be jumping into some quick hits next. And we also, don't forget, we'll be talking a lot about some Lucha Underground and some NXT and some other things. But before that, it's time for wrestling news, guys.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick hits.
All right.
All righty. Well, let's do this. Let's talk about the biggest news of the week, and for me, it really was. And that is the announcement that there is a UK championship coming from the WWE. Yeah, that's right. It's something that, was kind of a shock to me. I really haven't been reading a lot of backstage news or anything like that lately to really get in depth to find out about this. It was kind of a surprise for myself, at least. And this is a big deal. We've seen that UK wrestling is really hot. Paul tells us all the time about it. He's been talking about how the scene's getting stronger, and it's really hot right now over there. And so now WB releases this news, and there's actually going to be a tournament for this UK championship, and it is going to be a 16 person group here that'll be getting into that tournament, and they'll be facing off in 2017 to figure out who will be deserving of the UK championship. So there's a lot involved here. This is really interesting. And Paul, I'm really kind of curious how you feel about this, because there's a lot of people, including the media over in London and, of course, all across the UK, who kind of think that WWE's maybe kind of jumping in their backyard and kind of steal some of that heat away from them. And then, of course, there are other people saying, no, this is cool. How do you feel about it?
This is WWE continuing to trying to turn a buck off the independent scene, and at least they're hot on the button. The UK scene, as you were just mentioning, and what I keep talking, it's super hot right now. Like they can't miss shows across RevPro, across Progress, Insane Championship Wrestling over there in Ireland. Geez, I mean, the more promotions that I can keep track of happening over there too. But Preston City Wrestling is another one, and you have WWE come out with this. These guys are signing contracts saying that they're going to get paid by WWE to do this. They're going to get paid long term to keep signing or to keep to these contracts, and they can still work UK indie dates, except for what a lot of people are thinking is they're trying to lead people away from World of Sport, because World of Sport will be on ITV, which is the second largest cable channel, or not cable channel, or second largest watch channel in the UK or something like that. And they're only on Sky, and Sky is a premium channel. So they think that's them trying to steer talent away from that. Either way, I think this is kind of a neat deal. Some of these guys might end up making it over, some of them might not, but I mean, this could very feasibly become a footprint for how WWE tries to create a larger feeder system, not only here in the States, but worldwide. Obviously, you have NXT with all the main talent ready to come up to the main show. And then you have all these other like feelers out across the world. Like you have UK, a UK title. You could have Japan. You could have Asia. You have Europe. You have so much more growing out of this. And suddenly you have a whole new crop of guys and system in place where you're paying them peanuts essentially to keep working, so that way you can invest in them further later on down the road. 16 guys, I've heard of maybe 5 of them. Trent Seven and Tyler Bate, Mustache Mountain is what they're known as collectively, but Trent Seven is an incredible wrestler, and I'm kind of thinking he's going to be the one to win this. Pete Dunne, the Bruiserweight, he's the current Progress champion. Dude has made a name for himself big time over the last couple of years too. Joseph Connors, who has really been coming up the ranks too, as well in What Culture Pro Wrestling, as well as ICW, and then Wolfgang Young is another big guy for Insane Championship Wrestling, who's quite good as well. Everybody else I might have seen once or twice, and the name just didn't ring a bell, or I haven't seen them before.
This is a very interesting thing that they're trying to do here. Obviously, what Paul said is the number one objective. They're trying to keep these guys away from World of Sport, trying to keep them away from any of these companies that WWE is not affiliated with, whether in a partnership thing, or they're trying to keep What Culture down. So they're trying to do what they can to make sure that they are involved in that scene. And kudos to William Regal and Triple H for making sure that they're trying to get into that scene when it's still hot, and not 4 or 5 years later when nobody cares.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think that that scene's going to die down at all, because it very well might not. It could be another burgeoning thing that kind of stays around, like Japan, that it just becomes commonplace for us to talk about the UK wrestling scene. And with more and more talent coming out of there, that's going to happen probably. And that's what WWE is kind of seeing, is that maybe they do have to branch out and understand that in order to get a foothold in these places where you're going to get talent from, you're going to have to do things like this. I mean, I don't think that you need to have a tournament every time you want to introduce a new country with a championship or a region or whatever, but this is a nice start, I think, in a way. It's a way that doesn't make it look like you're just going around backstage trying to sign people. There's a reason for it. It'll be interesting to see if, WWE just uses this at Progress and Rev Pro shows or whatever, or if they, it's another thing that they add to the network where they have UK wrestlers. I mean, talk about, that's a lot of stuff you're watching, if you're watching all of it, but it's more content added onto there. Not to mention they're going crazy, supposedly signing more women, so you still got that women's classic coming around.
Yeah, exactly, and you're right about that. And I think it's going to be really interesting how they make this all flow. Of course, this tournament is going to be a 2-day tournament. Of course, I think that we are pointing out January as being
January
a time.
15th and 16th.
Thank you. And this is going to be really quick here. I mean, it's amazing how fast a turnaround this is going to be, especially with the fact that this has not been something that's been circulating a whole lot around the public. And so I think that it's really interesting with the way that William Regal was talking with the media in the UK and kind of telling them that this is not about invading their territory. It's not about stopping the the progress of what's going on in the UK. It's all about just allowing wrestlers in the UK to come and have an opportunity to wrestle in a WWE ring. They can still wrestle for Rev Pro, for whatever independent wrestling company they want to over in the UK. They just, they'd like to have them for some dates and to use them, and then, of course, make the business grow is what their intention is. Now, I don't know how much smoke he's blowing up their butt, or if he's being really honest. I don't know that. I mean, you can only lead to thinking that WWE's just doing this for their own good, and it probably is for the most part, but I can also kind of see where William Regal would be telling the truth, too, because, he's from there, and I think he enjoys seeing what the UK has to offer to grow and to be strong like it was back in the day. So this whole thing is very interesting. I'm going to also know about this from you guys. Nigel McGuinness is actually departed from Ring of Honor and is going to be heading over and calling the play-by-play of this tournament with Michael Cole. How do you feel about that? I personally am not a fan of Nigel McGuinness, so at least on play-by-play, I don't know.
I know Sean is thrilled by this announcement.
No. God. And Michael Cole, too. I'm going to watch it on mute. Just going to watch it on mute.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I can put up with Nigel. I'll be interested to see how well he works with Cole and how Cole's even going to be during this. So, I mean, it's an interesting time. Plus, that belt is absolutely gorgeous. And, God, I mean,
way
if this
better
fails,
than the Universal title.
It's better than a lot of the belts. Like, it's so pretty. It really is. The coat of arms on there is just awesome looking. So, it's pretty. It's so pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is. But, Paul, I mean, I don't want to step away from Nigel McGuinness so quick because I want to know from you how you feel about this because, there are some people saying that Nigel McGuinness didn't give Ring of Honor enough of warning that he was leaving. And he knew for a little while he was, but he waited to the last minute to let them know, which kind of let them be put in a situation that was not exactly exciting because now they're kind of having to figure out what they're going to do from here on out. Now, we're not hearing that he is completely banned or never going to be allowed back in Ring of Honor, but it makes you wonder if that's kind of making Ring of Honor a question, do they want him back? How do you feel about it?
I mean, if they want him back, I'm sure they'll always take it. He's a big draw for them. He was one of their best world champions. He did a lot for them. And for him to leave, short term, I think the only thing that might ruffle the feathers is that, their commentary table has suddenly taken a huge hit. You have Carino leave, and now you have McGuinness leave. I mean, is it going to be Kevin Kelly and Ian Riccaboni calling these things now, or how's that going to work out? So I think that's the only big thing. I mean, everything else, it's not like you're missing too much by not having Nigel around to make matches. You can have somebody else do that.
Well, Nigel does have a standing offer from WWE to go be a trainer for NXT, so it's possible that Nigel goes and joins T. Carino over there. And if, there's also rumors that WWE are trying to go get Johnny Saint to be a trainer as well. So if you're going to have all this, including Robbie Brookside, and you got William Regal already over there, I mean, if you're going to have this big UK contingent of guys being trainers, I mean, I don't think that that's a wrong idea for Nigel to really consider. I mean, he's done, as Paul already alluded to, he's done everything he's going to do for Ring of Honor. It's the same thing I keep saying about Jay Lethal. I mean, it's like, if you gotten to that point where, unless you just really want to make more money, which obviously that's important too, if you gotten to that point where you've done everything, just go take the other, see what happens in the other company. Just explore your options. See what you get. You never know. And I think for Nigel, it provides stability. You know what you're getting here. Yeah, you're going to have to move to Orlando or Tampa or whatever, but that's the worst thing. Look at all the other stuff you get to do.
Yeah, that's very true. And, Ring of Honor, they'll be fine. They have other people they can look at. I mean, I'm sure Kevin Green would love to come and do some more wrestling talk, so have him come, I don't know.
Kevin Green.
Hey, he was one of WCW's greatest wrestlers. I loved Kevin Green. But anyway.
Where would you rank him in the pantheon of?
Let's see. Sting, Hulk Hogan. No, I'm kidding.
Is he like in your top 20 of WCW?
No. I'm just kidding. I just loved that time period. You know, of course, Karl Malone joined it. The athletes joining WCW was a blast. I loved it. But anyway, enough about that. Let's talk about something that's kind of interesting in the world of New Japan. Kadani is once again saying that he intends fully to bring New Japan over to the USA and maybe even having some G1 shows over here in California. What do you think about that? Do you, Sean, do you think this is something that could actually finally take place?
Well, if he's saying it, I wouldn't, rule it out. I mean, this has been a thing that's been rumored for a while, and look, this is the owner talking. This is not some random industry guy. If he's saying he wants it to happen, it's probably very likely that it's going to happen. Man, the G1 shows have become, unless you're making that tour smaller, like you're not going to have the 19 shows in whatever days, then okay. But if you're doing that many shows, and then you're going to do night 1 and 2 in Long Beach, California, I mean, then have them go all the way back to Japan, that's evil.
I mean, put your money where your mouth is, Kadani. Bring him over. I'll go.
Yep,
that's all I got.
Let's take a WTM road trip to California to watch New Japan.
Yeah, I'd love it. I've never been that far west, so I think I'd enjoy it. It would be definitely something exciting. I really hope it happens. New Japan, of course, has a lot of great stars, and Tokyo Sports had their awards, and they gave a lot of love to a lot of these guys. My boy Naito is Wrestler of the Year. I mean, you got to give it up, man. I love it. They are very smart over there. Okada versus Marufuji got some love as well at the G1 Night 1, so that's kind of cool. We had Nakajima win an interesting Fighting Spirit Award. Kenny Omega got a Best Technique Award. And we had, I never can say his name right, Shiraya, I can't even say that right. How do you guys say it?
Io Shirai.
Io Shirai, thank you. Won the Women's Wrestler of the Year. How do you feel about these awards? Do you think they got them right?
I mean, their match of the year is wrong. I think the only reason that's on there is because of the big surprise win that Marufuji got in that match against Okada in night 1, even though it wasn't really all that big a surprise. But I mean, my match of the year is still from the G1. It's just Ishii and Okada. That match is incredible, and absolutely everybody should go try to find that. Nakajima has pretty much put All Japan on his shoulders, dragged it back from the depths of defeat to maybe being on the rise, and absolutely deserves that. And Kenny Omega's been great this year. Io Shirai's been wonderful. She's the whole reason, the main reason, not the whole reason, but the main reason that Stardom's really started to break barriers and all this stuff. And I mean, Naito completely reinvented himself and absolutely owned it this year. So I mean, it's hard to take away Wrestler of the Year from Naito over there in Japan.
Yeah, Naito's been. I think normally they would have given it to Okada because he had the title for the most length of time, but they recognized the fact that Naito's been selling some big time merch, and he has the crowd behind him, which makes a difference as well. So the whole thing with Naito, even though it's been close to a year and a half, I think at this point, they've done really well to make him feel so important, and just the Los Ingobernables stable too has become such a huge thing over there. It's so amazing to see, like, all those guys have gotten a little bit from being in that. I also agree with Paul in that I think Ishii, and if you're going to pick a match from the G1, I think Ishii and Okada was better. I think Omega and Naito was better. Even Omega Goto. I even like Marufuji and Okada, the second one, better than that one. Just me. So, and I think maybe they just did it because it's night one, and I get, Marufuji as well being from Noah, so you have the big New Japan Noah thing there too, but they didn't go wrong. It was still a great match, definitely. Still a match of the year, contender match, so that's the one. And then everybody else, that's awesome. Io's been the best women's wrestler for at least more than just this year, but she totally deserved it.
Yeah, very cool. And so those are some of the big awards from them. Let's also stay on this topic of Japan wrestling and some other great things going on over there. I think it was maybe in part one. We mentioned that DDT has their streaming service out, and that is going to cost you $7.88 a month. And of course, if you order, you'll get the first month free, and after that, you'll be charged that $7.88. So, I mean, do you think this is a pretty fair price? Would you be interested in paying this, Paul?
I love DDT. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but certainly is mine. It's a big parody on sports entertainment, and they have great wrestling to go along with it, too. If I didn't have so many commitments already as far as streaming services go, I would totally pay $7.88 a month, but so many other places are already getting money.
Yeah.
Well, I'm definitely paying the $7.88 a month. And, Paul can, it will be a W2M thing, so Paul can definitely enjoy it along with me there. And they're going to start January 23rd, and I like that they're $7.88. That's a pretty cheap price. So they'll start out almost $3 cheaper than New Japan is right now. New Japan's gone up since they first started. They're like getting into that $10 something territory now.
In Stardom, still around $7.88 for theirs too, somewhere in there.
$7.50, I think, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Okay. And Sean, you were mentioning before we got on the show that we're talking about streaming services here. Didn't a certain Irish company just now get on Flow Sports?
Yeah. So Over the Top Wrestling, which has been, I think they've been partnering, with RevPro on some shows. They're now on Flow Slam, so Flow Slam keeps adding companies. They're still, I think for me, there's going to have to be a big slew of them, but it seems like some of our staffers seem to be interested in reviewing some shows, so we might be getting Flow Slam for the website here. Something we haven't talked about internally yet, but people are offering to, give some money towards it, so perhaps we will be able to start having, Evolve reviews and Shine and all that stuff on the site for you guys. Don't know if we're going to talk about it on the podcast at all, but you want to go to that W2Mnet.com, we could have it for you.
That'd be awesome. That's definitely something that I'm looking forward to if that does take place. So be looking for that, people. One last thing that we're going to get into before we get out of here and talk some NXT. I'm going to mention this. Eli Drake is actually getting a look from WWE, and I really didn't ever think that would happen until maybe TNA shut their doors. But apparently they're already kind of paying attention to this guy. I'm a little bit shocked here. What do you think? I mean, I know, Paul, I know you're not a big fan of Eli Drake. Is this a kind of a disappointment, or what do you think?
I've kind of taken a little bit of shine to him since the EC3 feud started, at least. So, I mean, they do have that. I mean, he has that going if my opinion matters at all. But, I mean, he's got the look. He can do stuff on the mic well enough. And, I mean, he's right up their alley. I mean, he's been in their development territory before, so I don't see why not.
Don't lie. Your special friend, your really good friend, EC3, put a good word in.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. EC3, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew he taught you into Eli Drake.
I just can't imagine TNA is not going to re-sign him unless he just says no because he knows WWE's looking at him. I think that you have so many guys there that were in WWE before that would probably deter him from going there. So I don't know. It's not a done deal yet. It's not like Chris Hero, like he's going through medicals right now. This is just a total speculative thing. But I mean, him, like Paul said, the one thing that Eli Drake is able to do is get you on the microphone, and that helps you a lot in WWE more than a lot of other companies, where you can sit there and talk and have that 20-minute promo, and you can have that, where you'll be in segment 1 or an important segment because you can cut a promo, and they don't have to worry about if it's going to be bad or not. You're going to do more than just meeting the quota.
I think that this guy is, really good on the mic. I think he's really shown that, he can grab an audience, because he definitely has changed my mind about him. And I think he could do well in NXT and then moving up if that were to take place. I look at this guy and say he's got a good situation for himself unless they give him a bad name. Because the whole Eli Drake gimmick is perfect. And taking that away from him and then giving him another name, that would be a disappointment. And I think that would be something that I think would be not a deal breaker, but it would be something that he'd have to overcome and find another way to get himself over. Because I think the Eli Drake thing is just part of his personality with the whole dummy. It'd be, to me, losing who he is. So I would have to see it to believe that he would do well, at least in this WWE system. Alrighty. Well, that is quick hits for everybody. The wrestling news for this week. Of course, we'll have some other big news for you next week. But now we are going to jump over and talk some NXT. Let's head to full... Oh, actually, it won't be Full Sail, but we'll talk NXT next.
WWE Developmental NXT.
Well, NXT was basically, for the most part, very focused on the one match here with Shinsuke Nakamura and Samoa Joe going on from their previous deal with where Shinsuke won the title first. So this is the final rematch, the final time supposedly, in a steel cage where Samoa Joe had the advantage. I enjoyed this match a bit. I liked it better than the Finn Balor cage match. I like that they went back to the whole thing with the leg and everything else hurting Nakamura. I think definitely there was this kind of feeling Nakamura was going to win the whole way through, and he eventually does. And so definitely now you've got Nakamura against whoever's going to win this qualifying match to get into the Fatal 4-Way for whoever's going to be the number one contender. But yeah, so Nakamura retains.
I thought this was fine. It's certainly not the best cage match I've ever seen. I'll agree that it was better than the Finn one, but I wouldn't say by much. It was fine. And Nakamura's got the belt back, which makes me question why you want to move it to Joe in the first place back at Toronto, but it's sort of whatever at this point. So I think Joe is going to be in that Rumble, guys. I think it's almost a lock at this point.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think this was kind of that send-off. That one match that they could say, oh, look, they had 2 straight matches, and Nakamura won them both. Here you go. That's over with now. And now Nakamura moves over to the next guy. Samoa Joe disappears until he does walk out, whatever entrant he will be. And so I'm excited about it. I think it only fits, and it's going to be something that I think a lot of people are going to be excited about. And I'm really kind of curious where they do go with this championship for Nakamura and how they're going to use him with this next feud and who it's going to be against. So I think there's a lot of good things here, and this is positive.
Certainly, and even more after that, you get the beginning of the qualifying matches here. But for this, do we have anything else with the women, or is this all okay? So it's all qualifying matches. So like I think the only women's segment that you have in here is Billy Kay. Billy Kay and Peyton Royce getting interviewed, and Billy and Peyton basically say they don't associate with losers, and then Daria walks up to them and says she doesn't really want anything to do with them, and that next week she's gonna take out one of them. So pretty short and sweet, kind of again giving you the vibe with Daria that they want her to be serious, like Kick-Ass Machine Girl, and they're doing okay with that for now. So your matches for the contenderships here are, you get Eric Young and Ty Dillinger, you get Andrade Cien Almas and No Way Jose, you get Elias Sampson, the Drifter, against Roderick Strong, and you get Bobby Roode against Oni Lorcan, of all people. I didn't even know Oni Lorcan was in the main event scene, but apparently he is. Eric Young loses by DQ to Ty Dillinger because Nikki Cross gets involved and gets too big for her britches here. Big Damo comes out to attack Ty Dillinger, and he does Big Boy Senton and everything to knock him out. You get Andrade Cien Almas beating No Way Jose to continue to cement his heel turn here. And you get Roderick Strong beating Elias Sampson. That was a no-doubter, I would hope. And then Bobby Roode defeating Oni Lorcan. And so you have your Fatal 4-Way match set for next week. So Andrade Cien Almas, Bobby Roode, Ty Dillinger, and Roderick Strong. Anything match-wise or result-wise that you are either surprised by or anything like that?
I don't think so. I think you have your four strong competitors here. Obviously, Ty and Bobby Roode are your two of your top acts. Roderick Strong's still fresh, so you got to make sure he looks good. And as you said, Almas is coming off the heel turn still. I like this sort of ambiguity about what the hell Big Damo's doing. Obviously, he's out here just to beat up Ty, but is he with Sanity? Is he not? He sort of just walks away from him. So I kind of like where that's going. It has me interested.
Yeah, I am interested in that as well. He's definitely a very interesting fellow. So I'll be looking forward to what they do have in store for him and this whole Sanity picture. I thought it was interesting that, you had CM Almas win. I wasn't sure that he was. It makes sense because he is still transitioning and being that heel and playing off pretty well, but I was a little bit honestly surprised that he did, become the winner here. So, but it was good for what it was worth.
Yeah, that's your NXT basically.
All right, it was quick, but really, honestly, those matches were kind of quick in themselves because we already had almost half the show, beginning with the first championship match, and the rest of them were just kind of quick in and there. So, not a bad show though. Some decent wrestling.
I think you had a total of maybe 15 minutes between the four matches. Something around there.
So it wasn't bad, but a few little things here and there, made it quicker. So, all right. Well, we are going to transition now from NXT to talking some Lucha Underground next, and of course, still to go, we are still going to be crowning a superstar of the week and talking Total Nonstop Deletion. But let's head over to the Temple and talk Lucha. Take it away.
We're doubling up this week too, right? Because you guys didn't talk about it while I was away.
Yes. So if you want to go ahead and get into whatever for the last 2 weeks, I guess.
Yeah. So the last 2 weeks, Lucha Underground has been running this tournament idea from Dario Cueto, where he's come up with this idea for Battle of the Bulls. The first round is four-way matches, single elimination. The winners of those move on to a final. Which is another four-way, except it's elimination style, and the winner gets a shot at the Lucha Underground Championship. So you have in the first one on the episode from the 7th, you have Brian Cage defeating Joey Ryan, Dr. Wagner Jr., and El Tejano. And in the other match on that episode, you have Willie Mack going over Marty the Moth, Mil Muertes, and Dragon Azteca Jr. All these matches are super good. They're fast paced. There's a lot of hard hitting. There's high flying, and with the size and caliber of the guys in the match, you don't really expect what you get. But I mean, if you've been watching Lucha for all 3 seasons, or if you've just been following these guys, you know what they can all do, and still endlessly impressive. But I mean, Willie Mack and Brian Cage come out as your winners for these first 2. I love these matches. I don't know if you guys have watched these yet, but they're certainly worth your time.
Yeah, I've not caught up just yet. But these are 2 guys that I fully would endorse. I mean, they sound like you said, had great matches, and I know both these guys. So I mean, I'm really curious to see where they stand.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this upcoming episode too for the actual tournament final. If they manage to one up everything they've been doing in the first round matches, it's going to be really impressive. Also on this other episode, you have Sexy Star defeating PJ Black. She has a segment with Daria where if she beats PJ, she gets a cage match with Johnny Mundo for the championship, and if any of the members of Worldwide Underground decide to interfere, they will be fired. So there's all that. And then Ricky Reyes also has another segment with his police chief, Captain Vasquez, who he informs her that Dario knows he's a cop, that he was undercover, and she admits that she doesn't trust Joey Ryan anymore. And so she's sending Reyes back in, except he's getting a mask now so he can go deeper undercover. So that'll be fun. And we also get some build-up with Cobra Moon here. She's in a palace on a throne. She has a couple of these masked snake guys worshiping her and saying that she says that, they survived. She's the reason that she's queen now, and that they're going to go and essentially make Drago kneel before his queen. And that's all well and good there. So we'll go ahead and move on to the most recent one, where we have the other 2 Battle of the Bull matches. Jeremiah Crane defeats Killshot, Dante Fox, and Mariposa. And in the other one, PJ Black sort of steals one from Jack Evans, Son of Havoc, and Angelico. Once again, both really fun matches. Crane getting the win, I thought, was kind of a different way to go, because I would have for sure thought you have Killshot, but you have Fox and Killshot sort of take each other out, and Mariposa gets to look awesome in this match too, which is great because I'm a big fan of cheerleader Melissa. So I'm always down for her to look awesome. And the other one, PJ Black sort of ends up he sweet talks Jack Evans into covering him, and then he rolls him up to get the quick win, which was funny. But once again, I think you have a lot of good play against each other there, as Angelico and Son of Havoc obviously used to be trios champions together, and they still have that some run-over feud with the Worldwide Underground as well. And then you have PJ Black and Jack Evans trying to earn their spots, according to Mundo, who says that if they didn't win in the match tonight, that he would have taken away their cool bandanas and kicked them out of Worldwide Underground. So lots of fun stuff happening there. Also, Drago defeats Cobra Moon due to disqualification because the 2 lizard people, which these guys are huge, by the way. They're at least 6'6" to 6'9", come out, absolutely destroy him, take him away, and yeah, take him away. It's pretty cool. I mean, the guys' masks look great and everything like that. So they have names too, which I'm forgetting at this current moment, but.
So basically, Drago will eventually kneel now because
exactly. Yeah. I'm assuming some sort of snake hypnotism is in his future.
Ooh.
To make him bow. Sexy Star is also working out this week in preparation for her match with Mundo next week inside the cage, and she finds a spider inside of her locker and tracks down Mariposa, who thinks that Mariposa and obviously Sexy Star had that big No Mas match last season, the big feud after they kidnapped her, and she Mariposa says if it was her, she would have left a butterfly or something pretty in there. And so Sexy Star ends up getting really pissed and punches through a wall after Mariposa. So somebody new is messing with Sexy Star. That's pretty much all your big stuff. Oh, and Dragon Azteca wants to kill Matanza now. So there's that too. Yeah.
So some things are starting to heat up really heavy on Lucha Underground.
Yeah, I mean, once again, the two any of the Battle of the Bull matches from these past 2 weeks are absolutely worth your time. They've been super, super good. So
that is awesome. So, when it comes to the role of Lucha Underground, they're not disappointing. Lots of great content coming your way, and I mean, it's just exciting. And well, I don't know. I mean, are they on full schedule going through Christmas? Or are they going to take a break next week? Do we know?
They have the show next week. Next week's or this coming week, I guess, is now the Battle of the Bulls tournament finale with Cage, the Mac, Mike Crane, and PJ Black, and they have that cage match for the Lucha Underground title between Sexy Star and Johnny Mundo. So,
wow.
As far as they haven't mentioned anything about taking a break that I've seen.
Okay, well, fair enough. That's cool. That's really awesome, and it sounds like a huge show. So, hey, when all the other shows are doing reruns or best of, make sure you check out Lucha Underground. So, all right. Well, that is our time at the temple, but we are going to head on out, and we are going to head over to the Hardy compound. That's right. They had a big show this last Thursday night, total nonstop deletion. So let's go ahead and do it, guys. We are going to talk some TNA Impact Wrestling.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
All right, so some total nonstop deletion here. This is actually an actual TNA show just at the Hardy compound. It's not just like Hardy stuff all the entire show. Just explaining to people who are hearing us talk about it and not necessarily have watched this, or you've only watched the Tag Team Apocalypto thing. So they started out with Rockstar Spud coming out and complaining, or was it Broken Matt coming out and then he complained? I don't know, whichever.
Yeah, he interrupted Broken Matt Hardy.
Yeah, so he basically was pissed about the whole thing with the Broken Hardys and all the stuff, and he's tired of Vanguard 1. He's tired of Brother Nero, and he's mostly tired of King Maxwell, a 1-year-old, taking his TV time. So he wants to be the one that has King Maxwell's first match on TV. And so here comes King Maxwell with Revy, and they proceed to have a match that lasts all about like 15 seconds. It's not really a match, obviously, because Senor Benjamin, with his Riviera jacket from Riviera Steakhouse, comes out and tases Rockstar Spud. And then King Maxwell basically like does a splash or whatever and pins Rockstar Spud. This is ridiculous.
Oh man, I started having flashbacks of Goldberg in WCW, and that was bad. And now I see
with a
this
1-year-old,
happen.
Gary.
Well, here's the thing, and you guys tell me if I'm completely wrong on this, but when I see this whole Broken Matt Hardy thing and the way that they've used it, the way it's had different effects, the way they've used plenty of different camera angles and just really amped up the cheese, why couldn't they have had a match with Rockstar Spud? Now, it doesn't have to be anything physical like where you see King Maxwell picking up Rockstar Spud, anything like that. But you could have had, like you see a little hand grab onto his arm and then see Rockstar Spud do a flip or something like that. I think they could have actually had a little bit more physicality with these two, rather than just do the whole okay, 1, 2, 3, done. I was actually really excited about this. I was waiting for the cheesiest B-rated action you've ever seen in your life, and then I get a taser, Paul. It was just uninspiring.
I thought it was funny. This isn't the first time they've done this. They've had the reason why Disco Inferno was here is because King Maxwell's actually beaten Disco Inferno in another match on an indie. So a nice little throwback there if you've been keeping up with the insanity that has been Broken Matt Hardy elsewhere outside of TNA. But it's a match with a 1-year-old. What do you want? I thought it was funny.
Yeah, exactly. You could tell where they made the edits and all that stuff. It was funny.
It's funny, but I just want it to be funnier. It could have been so much more better. Think about this. You see this kid, like, okay, let's just say this. Remember the Flintstones? Remember Bam Bam could pick up anybody and slam them back and forth? Why don't you do something silly like that? Have Rockstar Spud flipping, hitting the mat 3 or 4 times and have him pin him. I don't know.
I don't think TNA has the budget, Gary.
I guess.
That's a very good point.
Well, but you can do camera tricks. You could still have the kid wave his arm up and down. You don't have to see Rockstar Spud, and then have Rockstar Spud flip into the air. I don't know. I think they could have done it.
Good God.
I was still laughing from the fake news reports going on at the beginning about how the Apocalyptic Coast is destroying North Carolina.
Oh, yes. It was terrible, too.
Like, we just blocked all of Cameron, North Carolina. Nobody can go anywhere because of this tornado or whatever is supposed to be happening.
Volcano.
Yeah, so, moving to the next thing after this, because they did have more show. They had women's action here. With Sienna kind of getting on the microphone and saying she wants to face Rosemary because, Rosemary now a knockout champion. Sienna says she's the number 1 contender. But they have her issue of open challenge, so it's we have Vanguard 1 supposed to be wrestling Sienna, but the referee says, no, I make the rules here. You're not wrestling a drone. We're going to have you and ODB that we see on Women of Honor, and we saw her accompanying the Briscoes for a little while in ROH. You know what? This was whatever. Nothing, you really need to go out of your way to watch.
Yeah, I mean it's a fun match. It's just it's 4 minutes. Sienna goes over. It's really no big deal. I mean, the best part is that Vanguard 1 gets motorboated.
Yeah,
I died.
I died and was terrified at the same time.
Yeah,
but no, I thought that was quite hilarious, and for Vanguard 1 to come out and challenge Sienna, I thought that was kind of interesting. But I'm sure I'm happy the way that the referee called it off, because I was actually terrified they were actually going to try to have that match. But at the end of the day, nothing too special. It's more for the comedy. I really didn't take anything great away from this, but it was okay.
Well, couldn't be any worse than Itchweed debuting against Chet Sterling. And then Itchweed at the end getting a weed whacker and destroying Chet Sterling's clothes. Yeah. I don't know, Jeff Hardy, man. I bought you with Willow, but I'm not buying you with this, and just terrible.
Yeah, Itchweed, I guess maybe is a character made for you to itch for some actual weed so you can get through his matches or his character. But yeah, it's comical. But when it comes to this match, I just I don't know. I guess it wasn't really even about the match itself. It was just silly. And I really didn't have a lot of interest in it. And I'm not trying to be overcritical. I'm really not. It just did not grab me the right way. And I with Itchweed at the Halloween special that they had at the Hardy compound was good. I really enjoyed it. I thought that was hilarious. I loved it. And then this was kind of like, okay, now you're kind of jumping the shark with it because I kind of don't care now. So it was silly.
Yeah, I mean, it was 4 minutes of just silliness. I really did not take this show at all very seriously until this next match. Like, the first hour is just them having fun. That's really all it is.
Yeah, very true. That's kind of all just, we're just putting stuff out there. All right. What Paul was alluding to here is the TNA World Title match between Eddie Edwards and Lashley. This gets to a point where they start brawling around the arena, and one person goes through a table. They go all the way up to the curtains and everything else, and it eventually goes outside of the point where Lashley spears Eddie Edwards through the freaking door, and they go out into the North Carolina grass and everything, and they're fighting on the grass, and they don't stop the match, but they stop showing it. And then later you'll have Lashley just lifting up Eddie Edwards outside, choking him and stuff, and the match just never ended. But it was still pretty damn good.
Yeah, the action for this was really intense. Lashley jumps Edwards before the bell, and they proceed to beat the crap out of each other. It's great. After all the silliness, they throw this at you as a complete curveball, and it works really well.
Yeah, it's kind of fun to see, a match like this in a odd, surrounding. I thought that was kind of fun. It added to it, and the ambience kind of was something that you could, kind of get behind. I really felt like, this was fine. I didn't have a problem with it, to seeing these guys go all over the place and just really fight it out. It made sense. It kind of was a bummer that it really never ended. But on the other hand, I'll be honest, I would rather see this match ended in an actual ring, in an Impact Zone, than just out in, the Hardy ring. So.
And then here we go with the tag team Apocalypto, what everybody has been waiting on here. Earlier in the evening, you found out that Rock and Roll Express did in fact make the trip, so they will be involved in this match. You get Helms Dynasty involved in this match, the Decay, Death Council make an appearance. You have some other teams that we thought were making appearances here, but didn't. And then, yeah, guys, this was just kind of the chaotic stuff that you get with, all the other deletion things. This was good. I just felt like it didn't have the direction I think the other ones did. Especially Final Deletion. This one kind of felt like a lot of it was just, they're hitting each other with stuff, and what kind of crazy thing we can come up with now? Like, we're wrestling on top of the moving vehicles. Okay, we're wrestling on top of the truck that you use to grab stuff with. Him and Ricky Morton. And it's like, oh my god, I hope nothing happens. Ricky Morton looks like really incredible to be up there. The Decay taking out all the teams that they thought that they were supposed to be wrestling in this match, like the Young Bucks and Triple H and all that stuff. Just funny things going on there. The Hardys do wind up winning, but I don't know. Maybe I just didn't like it as much as other people did.
The thing about this in comparison to Delete or Decay or Final Deletion, those had storylines going into them. This whole episode of Total Nonstop Deletion is just a fun thing where you have something so incredibly successful in the Broken Universe and all that stuff that the Hardys have managed to create here, and sort of let it manifest in an episode of television to where you can just have fun with the entire formula. That's all this is. If you treat it like a special, I don't think this was ever meant to be like the Leader Decay or Final Deletion or any of those. It's just a fun match with a whole bunch of tag teams that happens to have a lot of TNA talent in it. Plus, it's got 3 count in it. You cannot hate this.
Well, a new version of 3 count, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, as close to 3 count as you're going to get, because I don't think Evan Courageous is doing wrestling anymore, so...
Yeah, certainly not. I mean, Gary, you had to be thrilled with 3 count.
Oh yeah, there you go. I mean, that was fine. I get where Paul's coming from on the having fun part, and it's fun to an extent, and I did enjoy it for just that whole silly factor. But on the other hand, I think my expectations were so high coming in because of all the other things that they'd done. I kind of held this to maybe an unreal level that when I finally got the finished product, I was a little disappointed. And
well, that's kind of what they've been trying to do, is build it to a crescendo level for them. And this one just didn't work out.
It's not for me either. And I appreciate some of the things, like you said. You got 3 count. You got, of course, the legends show up, and of course, just all the other
Hornswoggle shows up for some reason.
Yes. Hornswoggle.
I love it. Rockstar Spud. My friend is big. You're not gonna. You want to face him.
Yeah, my friend is so much bigger than you. Like, no, maybe his, he'll be slapping people around with it.
Oh, good. I'm glad you were saying that. I thought you were talking about something else that may be big. But anyway, I know.
That's what I was talking about.
Oh God, you're slapping people in the face with it. Wow, that's a little.
That wouldn't be totally like out of the realm for, just don't have King Maxwell involved in that segment. But that totally wouldn't be, out of the realm for the Broken Hardys at this point. They hit each other with everything else.
Oof. This is the Broken Hardys facing off against each other in an X-rated match tonight. But anyway, I know. I'm really, disappointed for what I was expecting. But at the end of the day, I get it. It's cheesy. It's fun. This is one show. They can always rebound. I'm not going to say that I'm not happy with Broken Matt Hardy. I have not lost any interest with the Broken Matt Hardy situation. I'm enjoying it still. I just thought this could have been a better show. That's all I'm saying.
I'm with you there. I did like the fact that Eddie Edwards and Lashley didn't end, and they're still fighting later in the grass. And all. That was great. But yeah, I agree with you. This wasn't, I think, on par with those other two, but it still has its own merits for what they do. They're trying to make this seem like a big deal, and I think they accomplished that in the end.
Can I tell you what I would have done? What I would have had? I would have had those legends, some of those legends show up like the ones that did, but maybe even throw some more in there. These guys that you wouldn't normally get a chance to see, even if you brought a Conan and got him involved somewhere. I'm not saying in a match, but maybe have him do something, or sitting there drinking a cerveza with, Senor Benjamin, things like that, and him screaming orderly. I would have had them like maybe Bobby Lashley, and fighting, going through him and the champ, going through the fight to the house, and then you see DDP Yoga going on with DDP and Revy. Things like that. Just add little things like that. Just, it's fun. It's stuff that you're not going to see on Raw, SmackDown. Lucha Underground's not going to have it. It's just something different that I think people would be like, oh, that's hilarious. Did you see that? And I walked away from this saying there's not a whole lot I could say that. To be honest with you, there's nothing out of this show that I was going to stand on the water cooler and say, man, you won't believe what happened.
Right.
Because I couldn't wait till Friday morning when I can go talk about King Maxwell's first match and how crazy it was, and I had nothing to say. So
I just wonder how much more they got in the tank for this. Like, how much more can they really do?
Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
They're going to have to put somebody over eventually because outside of your main event scene and the Hardys, you got nothing else happening on TNA.
Yeah.
I mean, all the stuff we talk about every week is the same stuff they highlight every week, which is the same 4 or 5 guys plus the Hardys. And, yeah. There you go.
Well,
that's TNA.
The good thing,
and that's TNA for this week, really.
Yeah, it is. And the good thing is the Anthem Sports has contacted Jeff Jarrett, and they've got some information from him. So that means that we will have AMP TV, baby. Oh, sorry. I'm just kidding. That's not going to happen. But anyway.
GFW is still not doing anything.
No, not zero. But anyway, you're right. That of course, is TNA Impact Wrestling for this week. Now, we've only got one less thing to do, and that is crown a Superstar of the Week, and we are doing that right after this.
Superstar of the Week.
All right. It is time for us to talk about who got our first point, and that is Cesaro and Sheamus.
Yes, Cesaro and Sheamus win the number 1 contendership for the tag team championships over on Raw by winning a match over on the Tribute to the Troop show on Wednesday. So, hats off to those guys.
We got 2 points heading over Dolph Ziggler's way.
Which I hope no one thought we were going to be reviewing that show. For God's sakes. Give us some credit that we, need to have lives.
Well, not only that, I'm so disenfranchised with it. Nothing again. I love the U.S. troops, and I just think sometimes WB it's really usually a throwaway show. Usually they don't have a lot invested, but they actually did have something of relevance, actually, and that was that match with Cesaro and Sheamus. So there you go. But yeah, 2 points are going to Dolph Ziggler this week, Sean.
Yeah, Dolph Ziggler wins the number 1 contendership on SmackDown to get to face AJ Styles. The match was actually pretty good, so you got that as well.
We got 3 points going over to the 2 guys that saved Cameron, North Carolina, the Hardys.
They also retained their tag team titles in all of that madness, and have now also been proclaimed as the greatest tag team in all of space and time. So 3 points for those guys. Congratulations.
We got 4 points heading over to Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah. Shinsuke beats Samoa Joe again. And you can't say that he retains his title. I mean, Nakamura doing his thing.
Sending Samoa Joe on his way. We got 5 points in the Superstar or Superstars of the Week, the New Day.
Yeah, defend the tag team titles twice on Raw, break the record. Nobody really had a bigger week than the New Day, so 5 well-earned points to those guys.
Yeah, for sure. And so they'll be, of course, tallied in. We'll be getting into, close to that final time to really reveal who will be our actual superstar of the entire year.
2 weeks. Incredible.
It's wild. It really is. And glad that New Day got some more love because they've been a big part of 2016. Heck, they even got the hashtag Black Excellence over. That's
we
pretty
didn't
cool.
talk about that.
No, what do you guys think about that?
I don't.
There was controversy. Well, I know that there's some people may not know about it. Just in case you don't, Kofi Kingston sent out a tweet, and it was a picture of Big E and himself with Sasha Banks, and them all holding their titles, and hashtag Black Excellence. And there were some people that hated on that.
I think was also.
Oh, you're right.
Xavier
Yeah.
Woods was in there too.
He was too. Okay, so we had a group here. It became controversial. There were people that hated on it, and I guess the fact that they threw in race, I guess, kind of got them the heat. But I don't know. Do you guys have a problem with what they said here?
No, I mean, they were celebrating the fact that even, in our lifetime, early in our lifetime, 20 years ago, that black athletes in WWE or in wrestling in general would not have had this much success or this much representation even. So that was something they were celebrating. But I mean, they're the record holders for the longest reigning tag team title reign in WWE now. I mean, that's a lot to be excited about. For all the negative stuff you hear in media about race, it's something nice to hear.
Exactly. That's what this is about. It's about celebrating the fact that for a industry that for a long time just, other than Lashley and TNA and in other few places that had wrestlers, that were black, that really didn't get to the have titles, let alone, I mean, yeah, none of them are the WWE World Champion or whatever, but that will come with time, I think, and to have this many champions at once, that's still a big thing, and I think it deserves to be said, and with what's going on in the country and everything, it's nice to know people are making a thing out of that. I know that there was then a Photoshop picture going around with people #white excellence or whatever, but I think people that are complaining about it are just, you're reading too much into this. Just let them have their moment.
Yeah, I agree. And just let people tweet out things and let them enjoy good times. Let's not always make something a controversy. Let's just enjoy it. If you don't like it, just go on your own way. Worry about yourself. Sometimes I just think people try too hard to make big deals about things that are honestly not a big deal. So, all right. Well, that is our show for tonight. We appreciate everyone who's come and checked us out. If you want to go find more content from us, make sure you go check out W2Mnet.com. Once again, W2Mnet.com. Also, go subscribe if you haven't already done it. W2M Network on any device that you like to podcast on, go do it now. And of course, make sure you go check out the Facebook group, Wrestling to the Max. It'll be right there and available. Go add yourself to the group, and you'll get to join all the fun and antics in that group. Besides that, I think that's the plugs for the show. But Sean, anything else going on that you want to let the people know about?
Like I mentioned, for the network, all the podcasts are doing. There was no Football 5, but other than that, I think all the other podcasts are doing their thing. Jobber Squad is off until the new year. I'm pretty sure Running Wild is probably still doing their podcast tomorrow, and of course, I enjoy that podcast on a poll, the MMA podcast that we have now. They'll be doing that UFC on Fox 22 preview that will be airing tonight or Saturday, whenever you're hearing this. So go listen to them, and just be checking to the website. We should have the roundtable good and ready to go by, I want to say, Saturday afternoon, sometime Saturday night at the latest. And yeah, you can go check that out on the website as well.
Awesome. Well, guys, we once again thank everybody for coming and listening tonight, and we will be back with you guys next Tuesday night, of course, Wednesday morning, talking about, Tuesday morning. I'm going crazy, guys. I apologize. Tuesday morning, we'll be getting into all the great stuff when it comes to part 1 of episode 226. We'll be talking, of course, Ring of Honor TV, and a lot of big quick hits and a lot of interesting news topics out of the world of wrestling. I'll also have Raw review, SmackDown Live review. We'll also have an NXT first-time show separate review with a 205 Live review as well. So lots of great shows coming your way. Go check them all out on all the different places I told you about. Of course, W2Mnet.com once again. Until next time, for myself, for Sean, and for Paul, if you're not living life to the max,
you're not living life at all.
You know it.
Please.
Later.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.